he tries to present himself to his YouTube audience as some unbiased, impartial, and honest political commentator, which couldn't be further from the truth, because Daniel Dumbril is just another one of the many CCP sycophants that we see all over YouTube. He's a shill, hiding in plain sight. Welcome to YGZ Taiwan. In today's video, I want to show you what some people on YouTube are saying about Taiwan, and a quick warning, it's not good.
To another video from Guilao60. Today we're going to be talking about Taiwan. Taiwan. Is that a country or is that a province of China? It's part of China.
In my perspective, Taiwan belongs to China.
They expect everybody in the world to treat them as the country of Taiwan.
What a lot of people might not realize is that Taiwan is not actually a country. It's actually part of China.
If you go and talk to any Taiwanese person who has been in China for a very long time, they have a very positive view of China. They have a very positive view of what the government has done for the country and what the government has allowed them to do.
Taiwan isn't a country.
China and the province of Taiwan, Chinese province of Taiwan.
There's only one China.
How many countries recognize Taiwan as a country, and how many recognize Taiwan as a wayward province of China?
China doesn't need to use force. Even though we are here in Guizhou and we constantly see the jets from the Chinese army flying up and down doing practices and whatnot. Alright guys, hello and welcome to another video today. I am in Wenzhou to start a project with a state media company. We're going to be doing...
The rest of the world considers Beijing the authority that governs not only China, but Taiwan.
One China policy.
The question is, Taiwan a country? No. Taiwan is a province of China, so the Chinese province of Taiwan.
It's business talks and business matters. It's not feelings, it's not allegiance to a country that all it does is exploit Taiwan.
Still isn't even close to Taiwan being a country of its own.
China will influence business and Taiwan's leadership enough that they will come to the table and discuss.
Taiwan isn't its own country, nor is the ROC the government of China. Taiwan is part of China, and there can only be one top-level government in China. There already is only one top-level government of China, the People's Republic of China.
Yes, and Taiwan is the other flashpoint that the US would want to use. And there are so many Americans that have no idea that Taiwan is not recognized as a country. Contrary to popular belief, Taiwan is not actually a country. Internationally, it's recognized as part of China under the One China policy. Beijing as the legitimate government of One China, which includes Taiwan.
Even Taiwan doesn't abandon the One China policy. They just have their own interpretation of it, granted. Yeah. These guys want war. These guys want war.
Absolutely.
保留采取一切必要措施的选项，针对的是外部势力干涉和极少数台独分裂分子及其分裂活动。中国人民也绝不允许任何外来势力欺负、压迫、奴役我们。谁妄想这样干，必将在14多亿中国人民用血肉铸成的钢铁长城面前碰得 头破血流。同志们辛苦了。
Well, that was quite the compilation of stupidity there, wasn't it, guys? Which one was your favorite? Now, although it seems that most of these guys are equally as dumb as each other, there is one of them who actually has dumb in his name that stands out above all the rest of the shills and is a lot more sinister than his moronic friends. It's my favorite CCP sycophant, Daniel Dumbshill. I mean, Daniel Dumbrill. Sorry, Dumbrill, Dumbshill. It's more or less the same.
Oh, Lewis.
So why is Dumbshill different? Well, he's definitely less transparent with his CCP propaganda compared to the other four idiots. These other four dolts are very open with their BS CCP propaganda, and they openly state their so-called opinions that Taiwan is a part of China.
Taiwan is not actually a country.
Taiwan belongs to China.
Taiwan isn't its own country.
Taiwan is a province of China.
Dumbshill, on the other hand, he tries to present himself to his YouTube audience as some unbiased, impartial, and honest political commentator, which couldn't be further from the truth, because Daniel Dumbrill is just another one of the many CCP sycophants that we see all over YouTube. He's a shill, hiding in plain sight, who is afraid to lose any of the little credibility he actually has. I mean, who wants to be associated with an authoritarian and oppressive dictatorship? Daniel certainly doesn't, and he desperately tries to cover up just how in bed he is with the Chinese Communist Party.
Time to abandon the one China policy. I mean, even Taiwan doesn't abandon the one China policy. They just have their own interpretation of it, granted. They just have their own interpretation of it, granted. They just have their own interpretation of it, granted.
So in that clip just there, you can see how Daniel just tiptoes around this idea that Taiwan has its own version of the one China policy. And he keeps awfully quiet when his creepy friend there just keeps talking about how Taiwan isn't a country.
And Taiwan is the other flashpoint that the US would want to use. And there are so many Americans that have no idea that Taiwan is not recognized as a country. The US doesn't even have an embassy in Taiwan. If you ask the average American, does the US have an embassy in Taiwan? They'll say, yes, of course they do. It's a country. They have an embassy everywhere. And the answer is no, they don't. They don't have an embassy in Taiwan because officially the US does not recognize Taiwan as a country. It recognizes it as part of China under the One China policy, which is recognized by virtually every country on earth.
Now, let us contrast this with what Daniel posts on Twitter, and we can see that he isn't being honest about his true feelings about Taiwan. Look at this Twitter post. Here, he proudly announces his amazing parenting skills about how he brainwashed his own son into believing that Taiwan isn't a country. It seems like he's teaching his own son something that he's too afraid to tell his YouTube audience. And so we can see the twisted, narcissistic mind of Daniel Dumbrill, where it's okay to fill your own child's head with CCP propaganda as long as it doesn't ruin your YouTube image. And this is the guy who suggested on Twitter that I shouldn't be around children? Oh, Daniel.
Oh, Lewis.
So if we delve deeper into the sick and twisted world of Daniel Dumbrill, we start to discover that this sick individual can have no other opinion about Taiwan other than the opinion he is told to regurgitate from his CCP masters. He is completely in bed with the Chinese Communist Party because he's appeared multiple times on Chinese state-run English language news channel CGTN.
Daniel, very much welcome to the show.
And one of his videos was actually played at a CCP press conference being used as so-called evidence that nothing nefarious is happening in Xinjiang. This is absolutely despicable. This self-proclaimed champion for human rights is being used by a horrible, oppressive government to cover up their lies. We all know that he can't say Taiwan is a country because the government of the country where he resides won't allow him to say that opinion. Speaking about having your own opinion about things, I think it's great to have opinions, and that is why I'm so grateful to be living in this wonderful and democratic country of Taiwan, where I can express my opinions about a variety of things, including politics, societal problems, and anything that gets on my nerves without the fear of being locked up. You see, this is something that I could never have done when I was living in China. You can't say that Taiwan is a country when you're in China. You can't criticize the government, society, or anything without facing severe consequences. These guys, they can't be critical of China, so instead of just shutting up and putting a muzzle on, which is what I did when I was living in China, they just do the next best thing and kiss that CCP ass because it gets them views and feeds into their sanctimonious and narcissistic egos. They constantly denigrate their own countries and other democratic countries to win favor with their Chinese nationalist audience, and they get YouTube views from doing so. The one exception is this Brian Bullsack guy who doesn't live in China. He actually lives in Thailand, and it really remains to be seen what his game is really. However, after checking out his YouTube channel, it appears that he's just another one of those tinfoil hat conspiracy nuts who's jumping on the "Isn't China great" bandwagon. So, for some strange reason that just escapes me, these guys are desperate. So desperate to stay in China. They're so desperate that they're willing to do or say anything to stay there, even if it means stooping so low as to kiss in the ass of some crazy, authoritarian, oppressive, and Orwellian dictatorship like the Chinese Communist Party. I actually feel sorry for these guys, just a little bit, not much, because they're so limited with the content that they can actually put on YouTube, and it's all because of the CCP. The CCP literally dictates to them what they can do and say, and they just push that propaganda because it's all they can do. They can't express themselves, they can't talk about anything that the CCP doesn't want them to talk about because they'll be in deep trouble. Now, some of these guys are a little bit more transparent with their propaganda, and some of them are hiding in plain sight and a little bit more sneaky about it. But at the end of the day, they're all the same. They're just a bunch of guys on YouTube denigrating their own countries and any other democratic country around the world, and Taiwan just happens to be one of those democratic countries that they're attacking. And that's right, Taiwan is a country. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.